Do what is right for you. No one else is walking in your shoes. The more thankful you are, the more you attract things to be thankful for. Never let a bad day make you feel like you have a bad life. Every second you spend comparing your life to someone else's is a second spent wasting yours. You can lie down for people to walk on you, and they will still complain that you are not flat enough. When thinking about life, remember this: no amount of guilt can change the past, and no amount of anxiety can change the future. Every person in your life is a teacher. Some bring lessons about love and support. Others teach you what to avoid. You see a person's true colors when you are no longer beneficial to their life. Don't get married because you think it's something you have to do. You don't have as much time as you think. Tell those people you love that you love them, and say it often. If you've never questioned whether or not you made the right decision, you haven't taken big enough risks. Not everyone is down for you like they say they are. Never trust what someone says, watch what they do. You can't love somebody enough to make them love you back. Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can be only forgiven, not forgotten. Don't let someone who did you wrong make you think there's something wrong with you. Don't devalue yourself because they didn't value you. Know your worth even if they don't. If you're willing to sacrifice what you want most for what you want now, then your future will always be filled with disappointment. Being single with peace of mind is way better than having a relationship with someone who makes your life miserable. Sometimes you just have to say no and ignore the guilt trip that follows. Often, the right thing and the hardest thing are the same. What you do today can improve all your tomorrows. Sometimes in life, your situation will keep repeating itself until you learn your lesson. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. It doesn't matter if you're right sometimes. The people you hang around will shape your life in more ways than you know. Sometimes there's no right decision to make. In those cases, first you make a decision and then you work to make it right. The greatest mistake you can make in life is to be continually fearing you will make one. Learn to be content and happy by yourself. If you need a company to be happy, then it will make you weak. You're not responsible for what other people expect from you. Not every thought needs to be expressed. There are things in life we don't want to happen, but have to accept. Things we don't want to know, but have to learn, and people we can't live without, but have to let go. No matter who tries to teach you lessons about life, you won't understand it until you go through it on your own. You can start your life over any time you want. You can start being the person you actually want to be today, right now. The people who ask the most from you are the people who do the least for you. Never sacrifice these three things: your family, your heart, or your dignity. Always look at where you're going, not where you've been. Sometimes it's not the people who change, it's the mask that falls off. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours. When you find no solution to a problem, it's probably not a problem to be solved, but rather a truth to be accepted. Nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. Don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. Sometimes it's best just to cut people off, no matter how hard it is. Some people just aren't worth the effort. To understand a person's character, don't just look at their action, observe their reaction. It is harder to fake a reaction. The way people treat you is a reflection of their character, not yours. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. Love is not enough to make a happy, lasting relationship. Being open and unafraid to communicate is vastly important, even if it's a difficult conversation. Everything in life teaches you a lesson. You just have to be willing to learn. The measure of a man is the way he bears up under misfortune. If you put them on a pedestal, they will have no choice but to look down on you. Each pain makes you more strong, each betrayal more intelligent, every disappointment more skillful, and each experience more wise. When you get married, everything good about your relationship and everything bad about your relationship intensifies. You teach people how to treat you. Things rarely change for the better in your life unless you change them. Hard times are often blessings in disguise. Let go and let life strengthen you. No matter how much it hurts, hollow your head up and keep going. Sometimes it's a blessing to not get what you want. The more you like yourself, the less you'll need others. And just because you're good at keeping other people's secrets, it doesn't mean that they will do the same for you. Very often a change of self is needed more than a change of scene. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Inner peace begins the moment you choose not to allow another person or event to control your emotions. He who angers you conquers you. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice, and a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices. We advance in life when we let go of fear. A man who wants something will find a way. A man who doesn't will find an excuse. Some people will not like you, no matter how hard you try to win their favor. You have to take chances sometimes, and although it can be scary and outside your comfort zone, you'll never know what could have been unless you go for it. People give you advice based on their perspective. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Be a reflection of what you'd like to receive. If you want love, give love. If you want truth, be truthful. If you want respect, give respect. What you give out will always return. Never speak from a place of hate, jealousy, anger, or insecurity. Evaluate your words before you let them leave your lips. You only get one body, take care of it. You'll have it all your life, and while it is incredibly resilient, it can only give you what you put in. If someone emphasizes that they are telling the truth, you can be sure they are lying. Don't base your own self-worth on the opinions of others. If you don't like something about your life, you have to change it. It's not going to change for you. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen. Don't do anything that you will have to lie about later. Making others look bad doesn't make you look better. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. Light travels faster than sound. That's why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. Sometimes you just need to relax and have faith that things will work out. Let go a little and just let life happen. Life is inherently risky. There is only one big risk you should avoid at all costs, and that is the risk of doing nothing. You're the only person who has to be with yourself 100% of the time, so start liking yourself and who you are. Overthinking ruins you. It ruins the situation, twists things around, makes you worry about futile questions, and makes everything much worse than it actually is. Don't worry about what people say behind your back. They are the people who are always finding faults in your life instead of fixing the faults in their own life. Sometimes painful things can teach us lessons that we didn't think we needed to know. Be happy on your own. Don't seek out someone else to validate your existence. Act like you have been there before. You must welcome change as a rule, but not as your ruler. Just because things could have been different doesn't mean they'd be better. Life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. It's not the mistakes that define one's character, but the manner in which one responds to those mistakes. People will disappoint you, so never put all your trust in anyone. Hard work doesn't always guarantee success, but laziness almost certainly guarantees failure. You'll never be truly happy if you constantly seek validation from others. Anything that you start to take a relaxed attitude towards stops controlling you. The pursuit of perfection is futile. Aim for progress instead. Your self-worth is non-negotiable. Never settle for anything or anyone that diminishes it. Be careful what you tolerate. You are teaching people how to treat you. You will never be 100% sure about a decision, but always make a decision because it's better to go back and fix it than to never make it at all. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. It protects your time and priorities. Chasing happiness will lead you to misery until you realize that happiness is the way. Maybe you are not healing because you're trying to be who you were before. That person doesn't exist anymore because there's a new you trying to be born. Breathe life into that person. There will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you. You learn nothing from life if you think you're right all the time. No one owes you anything. You have to work for what you want in life. There are things we don't want to happen but have to accept, things we don't want to know but have to learn, and people we can't live without but have to let go. What you want requires consistency and discipline. Your entire life can change in an instant. So instead of passively taking what you have for granted, be grateful for it and do whatever good you can with it. The worst kinds of enemies are those who pretend to be your friends. The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts. Never decide what you can or cannot do based on your lowest points in life. Only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die having left undone. The harder your life becomes, the faster you will reach your goals. Excuses won't fix your problems. Take responsibility for your actions. Accept that you will make mistakes and learn from them instead of dwelling on them. Befriend those who expand your thinking, not just your circle. Avoid making decisions when you're angry, and avoid making promises when you're happy. You will never understand the damage you did to someone until the same thing is done to you. Be careful who you let in your life. People will come and drain the shift out of you, then leave and blame everything on you. Maturity is when you have the power to destroy someone who did you wrong, but you just breathe, walk away, and let life take care of them. You are the only person you can control. Be humble enough to know you can lose everything, but be confident enough to know you can get it all back. Remember that every time you try, you're making progress. Spend so much time on self-improvement, you have no time to criticize others. Smart people stop overthinking once they understand that the best decisions require more gut feeling than pure intellect. It all begins and ends in your mind. What you give power to has power over you. Work on mastering your mind. Excuses are always there and easy to make. Finding a way is what takes courage. Be smart enough to realize that life doesn't wait for you to be okay. Don't allow someone to treat you poorly just because you love them. Every time you lie, you are creating problems that you will have to deal with in the future. Do the right thing now. One who believes in himself has no need to convince others. Learn to miss someone without wanting them back. If life wasn't hard, you would never grow. Sometimes you just have to accept that some people can only be in your heart, not in your life. The only way to feel better about yourself is to do things worth feeling good about. Sacrificing long-term joy for short-term pleasure is the easiest recipe for regret. Don't be scared to set boundaries in your relationships. If they walk away, it means you're better off without them. Life becomes easier when you learn to accept the apology you never got. The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. Slow success builds character. Fast success builds ego. If you don't separate yourself from your distractions will separate you from your goals. By doing what everyone else does, you guarantee average results. Don't lose yourself by tolerating too much from the people you want to keep. Focus your attention on creating the life you want instead of distracting yourself from your current life. When your motives are sincere, it's not you who loses anyone, rather it's others who lose you. When you know yourself, you stop fearing missing out on things that are not meant for you. The easiest way to destroy your self-confidence is to constantly break the promises you make to yourself. Stop cheating on your future with your past. You grow as much as the amount of truth you're willing to accept about yourself without running away. All failures are temporary when you keep trying. When you blame someone else for your problems, you're giving them power over you. You're allowing them to define and dictate your happiness and well-being. Trusting blindly often leads to betrayal. The only person who needs to understand is you. Life gets better once you stop assuming you will always have more time later. Be proactive. Each day should be a step forward. The first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. The first to forget is the happiest. No single thing will solve all your problems. No goal, no achievement, no relationship. No one will ever fix you. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours. Whatever you do, winning isn't everything, but you always win if you're satisfied that you put in the best performance you could. You set your own standards. Find your why. Your why is the foundation of your goals and provides meaning to your actions. It's the deep, personal reason that drives your ambitions. Taking responsibility for all of your problems alleviates more suffering than it creates. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. When you talk, you only repeat what you already know. If you listen, you may learn something. Never date a person you wouldn't also be friends with. The more hard lessons you can learn vicariously, rather than through your own hard experience, the better. Healing also means taking an honest look at the role you play in your own suffering. Challenge yourself. It's the only path to growth. Ignoring red flags because you want to see the good in people will cost you later. Peace does not mean being in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart. Avoid people who use their pain as an excuse to hurt you. Don't let people know too much about you. Most people don't care, and some secretly want you to fail. When you react, you lose power. Perfectionism is a disease. Procrastination is a disease. Action is the cure. Go where you are appreciated, not just tolerated. Fix your body before you fix anything else. Having a weak body is a reflection of your broken mind. It is a reflection of your lack of willpower, discipline, and your piss-poor life choices. Some disconnections will bless your life. True success doesn't depend on seeking validation from others. It stems from seizing opportunities, proving what you're capable of, and accomplishing your goals despite challenges. When you find someone smarter than you, work with them. Don't get intimidated by them. Never expect to get what you give. Not everyone has a heart like you. Your mental state determines your experience of life. Prioritize your mental health like you would your physical health. Exercise your mind with new challenges and positive self-talk. Life is difficult because we don't appreciate the things that come easily. Don't let loneliness drive you to make temporary decisions with long-term consequences. Once you are in the right direction in life, you stop getting offended and angry all the time because you have so much better to do with your time. Your growth depends on your willingness to keep learning, even when it's boring. Keeping your personal life private and not telling everyone everything, even when you have a lot to say, is top-tier self-care. Find a relationship where you, naturally being you, make the other person happy. One of the most dangerous things you can do is compare your life to somebody else's. It's not a race, it's your journey. Don't give up after the first failure. Failure is not the end, it's just a detour on the road to success. Just because you can't see the point behind a challenging time doesn't mean there isn't one. When you believe, your mind finds ways to do. Embrace the long game. Patience is the ultimate competitive advantage in the game of life. Your future needs you. Your past doesn't. Being true to yourself may lead to loneliness, but it's worth it. You will be pulled down out of jealousy. Don't get surprised. It's normal. It's scary when things change, but it's even scarier when they don't. The truth is, everyone is going to hurt you. You just have to find the ones worth suffering for. On a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling in the wrong path. The magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding. You must discipline yourself carefully. You must keep the promises you make to yourself and reward yourself so that you can trust and motivate yourself. Our lives are defined by opportunities, even the ones we miss. When you build in silence, no one knows where to attack. Pain only leaves you when it teaches you something. Some lessons have to be learned twice. Being cool, calm, and collected in a stressful situation is extremely important. This does not mean that you need to suppress your emotions, just don't let them get the better of you. The more you spend clinging to the past, the less likely your future will be any brighter. The only failure is not trying. The only rejection is not asking. The only mistake is not risking anything. If you can't say no, then your yes means nothing. People want you to succeed, but often no more than they want to succeed for themselves. Stop overestimating others and underestimating yourself. You give power to someone you blame for your problems. Life has a way of working out, even when it seems impossible. You should never sacrifice what you could be for what you are. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. Luck comes to those who work hard. Good things do not come to those who wait. Don't make one person the center of all your happiness. Don't make them the reason why you are happy, because once that person walks away from your life, you're left with nothing. When you feel like giving up, remember why you held on for so long in the first place. Never put relationships before your goals. You may lose them both. You can fall in love more than once. You don't need to worry much when someone you love leaves you. Most of the time, it's for the good. You will have to make very practical decisions about what you want from life and what you're willing to give up. And if you don't make them, then life will make them for you. Changes happen when we go against everything we're used to doing. Failure shows us the way by showing us what isn't the way. It's normal to feel bad after making the right decision. No matter how nice and friendly you are, some people will dislike you no matter what you do. Don't waste your time on them. Later often means never. Bad times are actually a boon because they wake you up to the good things you never paid attention to. Never try to gain somebody's sympathy. The people who care about you will be there for you when you need them. You do not need to show them that you are their best friend. You can't make someone love you by giving them more of what they already don't appreciate. Most of the time, you have to swallow the pain and learn to grow up by yourself. Money doesn't guarantee happiness, but poverty can bring significant challenges. Hiding from your problems won't make them disappear. Facing them is the only way to grow. Regrets can linger for a lifetime if you don't learn to forgive yourself and others. Time spent comparing yourself to others is time spent on wasteful thoughts. People will often take advantage of your kindness if you let them. Problems are rarely as bad as we think, or rather, they are precisely as bad as we think. Your obsession with finding happiness is what prevents its attainment. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. If you are in your 20s, many relationships will fail and not work, but function as learning exercises. Because of this, don't stress so much. It's all just practice until you're married. Your friends and family do not always know what is best for you. The greatest sin is to think of yourself as weak. Don't allow anyone to treat you badly just because you love them. Knowing when to mind your own business and when to speak up is a life lesson that takes time. But once you know when to react or retract, life flows much more smoothly. You have to take chances sometimes, and although it can be scary and outside your comfort zone, you'll never know what could have been unless you go for it. The big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal, you can get there if you're willing to work. If you do not make yourself indispensable, you will be unemployed soon. Never let yourself become completely dependent on anyone. Always be able to support yourself financially, mentally, and physically. A wise man can learn more from his enemies than a fool from his friends. We walk away from our dreams, afraid we may fail, or worse yet, afraid we may succeed. You can't expect everyone to be good to you, and at the same time, you can't be good to everyone. It is during the worst times of your life that you will get to see the true colors of the people who say they care for you. If you never heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. Never expect and never put too much trust in anyone. Don't stick with bad friends just because you've known them for a long time. Our wounds are often the openings into the best and most beautiful part of us. Usually people only want to hear the good, not the bad. So, if you have issues, it'll be hard to find people to confide in. Numbing the pain for a while will make it worse when you finally feel it. When a defining moment comes along, you can do one of two things: define the moment or let the moment define you. Stay away from narcissists. They don't play by any rules. They will suck the life out of you slowly. You need to learn how to select your thoughts just the same way you select your clothes every day. This is a power you can cultivate. If you want to control things in your life so badly, work on the mind. That's the only thing you should be trying to control. No matter what good you do to people, they will only remember your mistakes. In every situation, life is asking us a question, and our actions are the answer. Our job is simply to answer well. Say no to your desire to be perfect. Otherwise, you won't be able to improve further. The regret of putting first those who don't put you first makes your life painful. You must determine where you are going in your life, because you cannot get there unless you move in that direction. Random wandering will not move you forward. It will instead disappoint and frustrate you and make you anxious and unhappy and hard to get along with. Dreams without goals are just dreams. The second you feel like you're hanging on by a thread, let go. You shouldn't be holding on to something that makes you feel that way in the first place. The truth is that bad things don't affect us as profoundly as we expect them to. That's true of good things too. We adapt very quickly to either. Never overlook contempt. When someone views you with contempt and talks to you like you're beneath them, they will likely do you harm, whether relationally, socially, or physically. Remove that person from your life. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. You can't be happy with someone else if you aren't happy with yourself. Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. Holding grudges will never harm people you hate, only you. There is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. You don't realize the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Emotion, which is suffering, ceases to be suffering as soon as we form a clear and precise picture of it. People's actions tell the truth about them, not their words. Real growth is when you start checking and correcting yourself. Instead of blaming others, you take your power back by being responsible for your life. If you can't understand why someone is doing something, look at the consequences of their actions, whatever they might be, and then infer the motivations from their consequences. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. Tomorrow never comes, because it's always today. Forget about the people in your past. They didn't make it to your future for a reason. If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. You cannot heal in the same environment where you got sick. Be careful who you build with, because people will use you for the foundation and finish the structure with somebody else. Don't stick with bad friends just because you've known them for a long time. Never give up. You don't know how close you may already be. You can't get much done in life if you only work on the days when you feel good. Being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it'll always get you the right ones. Your future depends on your focus. More important than the ability to pick the right one is the strength to walk away from the wrong one. The longer you entertain what's not for you, the longer you postpone what is. Say no to your desire to be perfect, otherwise you won't be able to improve further. Drive carefully on this road called life, because people will switch lanes on you without a signal. You should never sacrifice what you could be for what you are. You learn a lot about people when they don't get what they want from you. Stop being so available to people who are only there for you when it's convenient for them. Choose your habits carefully. They decide your future. Never apologize for who you are or how you feel. It's like saying sorry for being real. You only get one body. Take care of it. You'll have it all your life, and while it is incredibly resilient, it can only give you what you put in. To change your life, you need to change your priorities. If you wouldn't like it done to you, don't do it to others. Time decides who you meet in life, your heart decides who you want in your life, and your behavior decides who stays in your life. You are the product of what you do every day. Forget trying to change people. Either change yourself or change your environment, or both. One of the biggest mistakes we make is assuming that other people think the way we think. You can waste your lives drawing lines, or you can live your life crossing them. Your wound is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. You'll ruin your life trying to make everyone happy. Learn to be content and happy by yourself. If you need a company to be happy, then it will make you weak. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Missing is a part of getting over. The chief trick to making good mistakes is not to hide them, especially not from yourself. Growth is often a painful process. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Being true to yourself may lead to loneliness, but it's worth it. Hiding from your problems won't make them disappear. Facing them is the only way to grow. Never give someone the opportunity to waste your time twice. There's only one thing more precious than our time, and that's who we spend it on. Do not cling to any one person, not even your most beloved. Every person is a prison and also a hiding place. Worry about your character, not your reputation. Your character is who you are. Your reputation is who people think you are. Be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. You can't be happy with someone else if you aren't happy with yourself. Don't be afraid to do things by yourself. Waiting for other people will cause you to miss out on some wonderful things in life. The people who ask the most from you are the people who do the least for you. Be smart enough to ask for advice, but be wise enough to know who to seek it from. You don't realize the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. On a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling in the wrong path. The second you feel like you're hanging on by a thread, let go. You shouldn't be holding on to something that makes you feel that way in the first place. You can't make someone love you by giving them more of what they already don't appreciate. Don't make one person the center of all your happiness. Don't make them the reason why you are happy, because once that person walks away from your life, you're left with nothing. You cannot be everywhere and have everything. Learn to make the right choices and commit to things that matter most. Close some doors today, not because of pride, incapacity, or arrogance, but simply because they lead you nowhere. The greatest thing you can give yourself is freedom from what others think. You were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Action breeds more clarity than thought, so you can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. If you're not resilient by now, life is only going to get tougher for you. Never judge someone without knowing the whole story. You may think you understand, but you don't. Stop explaining yourself and telling people everything. You owe no one any explanation of what you do. Changes happen when we go against everything we're used to doing. Real growth is when you start checking and correcting yourself. Instead of blaming others, you take your power back by being responsible for your life. Going back to your ex is like having a shower and putting dirty underwear back on. Before a new chapter is begun, the old one has to be finished. Tell yourself that what has passed will never come back. Nothing is irreplaceable. A habit is not a need. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and what they have planned for you is not much. Chasing happiness will lead you to misery until you realize that happiness is the way. The more seriously you take yourself, the unhappier you're going to be. Never hate jealous people. They are jealous because they think you are better than them. Never complain of that of which it is at all times in your power to rid yourself. You give power to someone you blame for your problems. Later often means never. Never try to gain somebody's sympathy. The people who care about you will be there for you when you need them. You do not need to show them that you are their best friend. Forgiving people in silence and never speaking to them again is a form of self-care. Don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. Stay away from narcissists. They don't play by any rules. They will suck the life out of you slowly. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. Make it your friend and ally, not your enemy. This will miraculously transform your whole life. You can't make people love you the way you love them. The only time you should ever look back is to see how far you've come. You must discipline yourself carefully. You must keep the promises you make to yourself and reward yourself so that you can trust and motivate yourself. When you build in silence, no one knows where to attack. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Clocks show time, and time shows people. Recognizing that you are not where you want to be is a starting point to begin changing your life. Unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow. Let others' actions speak for them. People will show you far more than they will tell you. Your life becomes meaningful in precise proportion to the depths of the responsibility you are willing to shoulder. If you never heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. No matter what good you do to people, they will only remember your mistakes. Don't hold your breath on people doing the right or ethical thing. People make decisions based on self-interest, not on what is right. Don't quit. Sometimes the things you are hoping for come at unexpected times. You can't change someone who doesn't see a problem with their actions. Failure shows us the way by showing us what isn't the way. Stop overestimating others and underestimating yourself. You must let the pain visit. You must allow it to teach you. You must not allow it to overstay. Never overlook contempt. When someone views you with contempt and talks to you like you're beneath them, they will likely do you harm, whether relationally, socially, or physically. Remove that person from your life. Most of the time, you have to swallow the pain and learn to grow up by yourself. Commitment is what gets you started. Consistency is what gets you somewhere, and persistence is what keeps you going. Sacrifice today for tomorrow's betterment. You are willing to pay those payments with pain, because pain is just a message when you are fixing something that's insufficient in your life. You have to take chances sometimes, and although it can be scary and outside your comfort zone, you'll never know what could have been unless you go for it. Sometimes you have to suffer in life, not because you were a bad person, but because you didn't realize when to stop being good to the wrong person. You learn nothing from life if you think you're right all the time. The question isn't who is going to let you, it's who is going to stop you. You will never see the great things ahead of you if you keep looking at the bad things behind you. Stop asking why they kept doing it and start asking why you keep allowing it. Be careful who you trust. Salt and sugar look the same. Don't blame a clown for acting like a clown. Ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. The fastest way to gain self-confidence is to do exactly what you are afraid of. Never keep people in your life if they don't love and respect you as much as you do them. Boundaries won't make you lose friends and relationships. They'll make you lose pretenders and manipulators. Your past is your opportunity to learn the lessons you need to deal with your present life. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of solving them. You are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choice. People who avoid failure also avoid success. Change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. If someone tells you that you can't, they're showing you their limits, not yours. Two things to remember in life. Take care of your thoughts when you are alone, and take care of your words when you are with people. A man without a vision for his future always returns to his past. You need to stop doing things for someone when you find out it's expected rather than appreciated. If you expect the world to be fair to you because you are fair, that's like expecting the lion not to eat you because you didn't eat him. Don't change yourself just to make someone happy unless that someone is you. The longer you live in the past, the less future you have to enjoy. Don't worry about those who talk behind your back. They're behind you for a reason. There are no missed opportunities. Everything you missed wasn't yours. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes sacrifice. Your life isn't yours if you constantly care about what others think. Sometimes you need to burn bridges to stop yourself from crossing them again. A man without a vision for his future always returns to his past. Make sure the choices you make are worth the losses you'll take. Action breeds more clarity than thought, so you can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. You can make all the mistakes you want, just don't make the same one twice. It's okay if you don't know how to move on. Start with something easier, like not going back. Sometimes you just need to be a bit selfish. Put yourself first and think about what is best for you. Learn to see people for what they are, not what you want them to be. Be humble enough to know you aren't better than anyone, but wise enough to know that you're different than the rest. Until you become comfortable with being alone, you will never know if you're with someone out of love or out of loneliness. People don't decide their future. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. The faster you do the things you avoid, the faster you get the good things you want. Accept the things you cannot change and change the things you cannot accept. The greatest challenge in life is discovering who you are. The second greatest is being happy with what you find. You think you know someone, but mostly you just know what you want to know. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. If nothing else, some people just teach you how not to be. You can't make anyone love you, and you can't force yourself to love anyone else. Don't burn your opportunities for temporary comfort. Confidence does not come from an expectation of success. It comes from a comfort with failure. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. We are the average of the people we spend time with. Surround yourself with good people to be a good person. Don't expect to see a change if you don't make one. People will walk in and out of your life, and those you least expect will become past remembrances of a temporary time you once thought was permanent. You train people how to treat you, unconsciously or not. The point of the argument is not to defeat each other, but to understand each other. If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try. Your value is not determined by someone else's inability to see your worth. There are no bad emotions, only bad reactions to them. You have to learn how to channel your negative emotions in a constructive way. People who show you new ways of thinking and new ways of seeing life are important. Your enemies will often tell you the truth because it hurts, and your friends will often lie because it doesn't. Develop a willingness to be disliked. This will grant you the freedom to do what needs to be done, even if it's unpopular.